Wherapy. Therapy wherever, whenever.
Hello and welcome to Coffee with a Therapist. My name is Andersson. I am a psychodynamic psychotherapist and I'm also the founder of Wherapy.com, an online therapy service. Every few weeks I upload a podcast about mental health issues, depression and or anxiety. And in this week's episode, we're discussing life problems that can hit you in your 40s. So if you're in your 40s, stay tuned. If you're in your 30s, stay tuned to know what to expect. And if you're older than your 40s, stay tuned anyway and let me know what you think. So I'm going to go make some coffee now. I'll be right back. So the first point that I want to make is that your 40s is about the grand restructuring of your life. No matter what we do in our 30s, we end up regretting it to some extent or second guessing it in our 40s. And I think we have the right to second guess in order to improve our lives. Whether we've assimilated into a family and become one with other people, or we've chosen to go the lonely road and pursue a career, we end up questioning our choices in our 40s, and we end up making big changes. Our 40s is essentially a period that when we're FOMOing to the max. We're afraid of missing out on what life has to offer. In the future, we don't quite know what it is, we don't know what to expect, and we don't know what to expect of ourselves. But we want to make a drastic change to avoid our soul becoming a fossil. The fossilization of our soul. So we go into a panic and we are impregnated with the notion of an illusion of action. We have to take action. And in the milder cases, they might buy new clothes, buy a car. They might also start training, start working out, get new hobbies. In the more extreme cases, you might change your job entirely. You might also go back to school. You might decide to have a new kid, or some people decide to end their relationship to their partner or cheat on their partner. Our 40s is also a period of time where we can kind of connect to other people in our 40s because they're also in a process of reevaluating and reflecting on their lives. So it's easier to get to their emotional core, and we form stronger bonds with fewer people, but we form very strong bonds with them. And these might be people that we meet at work, people that we meet at one of our activities, or a restaurant that we frequent. And we end up falling in love with them, and we end up thinking that, well, now I've spent my 30s committing myself to a family and I've kind of lost touch with myself. So now I'm going to see if I'm worthy of loving for the person that I am, and not for what I can provide. So I'm going to pursue this relationship, this new relationship. And there, the old family becomes an object that's standing in the way. So we become resentful towards our family, and that creates some sort of friction in the family system. And there's a lot of bitterness and a lot of resentment that goes on at home. And this is the period of time when a lot of couples seek therapy, and a lot of individuals become depressed and also seek help in many different forms. So it's a period of grand or great rather restructuring. That was my first point. Now on to my second point. The period between 35 and 45 is also the time when most people are likely to get some sort of lighter form of mental illness, especially men, or men are more likely to attempt suicide in this time period. Women are more likely to attempt suicide at a far younger age and far more frequently, but men are more likely to attempt suicide between the age of 35 and 45. Women are also more likely, as I just mentioned, to feel mentally ill or depressed. And the reason for this is simply everything that I mentioned in the last part of this podcast. Yeah. We either our spouse or us ourselves are pursuing some sort of great restructuring of our lives. Yeah. It might be our partner that's doing it, and it kind of forces us into thinking about our life's choices as well. So we might go through divorce, we might go through infidelity, we might be the one who's cheated on, we might be the one who's doing the cheating. We also might have experienced some sort of loss in the family, and this causes us to feel depressed. Yeah. And this is a period of life that we've kind of lost touch with our social circle. Most people have. They've committed themselves so much to their family, and their family is no longer somebody that they could go to, their partner, I mean, because their children are too young to bear the burden of their emotional scars, and their parents are also too weak and frail to help. So, and as I mentioned, we don't have many friends at that time, yeah? And that's why if it is infidelity or divorce, we seek solace in the arms of another lover, and we try to we try to heal or mend our emotional wounds this way. Yeah. And if we can't, if we don't find anyone, a lot of people turn to drinking alcohol as a way of numbing their pain, because they don't have that. They don't kind of see therapy as a solution because it might be stigmatized in their community. Yeah. So alcoholism and suicidal thoughts is a big part of your 40s for some. The third point that I want to make is about our household economy and our living situation. Yeah. Our 40s is also a period of time when our family is probably at its biggest, both in terms of number of people, but also in the terms of the size of the people, because they're probably full-grown teenagers at that time. Yeah. And children, as they grow, they are harder to discipline, they are harder to control, they are more demanding, and they're also more craving of us. Yeah. But we don't really know how to help out. Yeah. And our personal space with this, yeah, gets smaller and smaller in the household. Yeah. So whenever we're in the household, we're kind of forced to assimilate. Yeah, we become one in the family system, so we become a blob in the family goo, and we lose touch of ourselves. Yeah, and this is where the resentment grows as well. So many of us end up remaining at the workplace beyond our work hours, just to have some alone time, have some me time. Yeah, and this is what kind of also leads to our partners kind of wondering where we are. They're kind of second guessing our commitment, or being kind of what's the word? I lost the word. But being suspicious of what we're doing. We also end up having less money because our kids are in that point of their lives when they want to spend more, and they might be doing activities which cost a lot of money. In certain countries, you have to pay for school fees, health insurance, and the like, and that also costs a lot of money. So we're also in the age where we have to kind of produce. We become someone who produces, and we don't become a person anymore. We have to if we don't produce, then our family unit isn't sustainable, and that pressure is on both parents in most cases. And that just leads to a growing form of resentment, and can also be a motivating push to restructure our lives. In my fourth and final point, I want to talk a little bit about time as being something that is finite. We realize this more and more in our 40s. We know that it's finite at a much younger age, but in our 40s, our children are becoming independent. They don't really need us anymore. They don't see us as the invincible hero. Our parents, the very people who made us feel invincible when we were at our most vulnerable as children, are themselves weak and frail. And we might have to spend time trying to help them out, and we might feel quite helpless in that situation. And this makes us wonder about our lives. And again, we think about the great restructuring. But the great restructuring is also something that is seen as by society as something shameful. It's even got a word, a midlife crisis. So instead of being somebody who's reevaluating our choices and reflecting on life and trying to live a better life, we're deemed as somebody who's succumbing to our own insecurities, or just a kind of foolish time-constrained hormonal imbalance. Whereas this isn't the case. I think that changing our lives and trying to do it for the better is a good thing. We have good intentions. The people who do that have good intentions. But they might go about it the wrong way. They might end up hurting a lot of people. But almost all people restructure in some sort of way. Now it doesn't have to be breaking up the family. It could be changing career paths entirely. But so we all do it. That's what I'm trying to say. And therefore we can't really blame somebody else for doing it as well. So that's my fourth and final point. Our time, we feel like the window for making these changes is closing. Because we're realizing that our parents are getting old. Our children don't need us anymore, or need us less and less. And now is the perfect time to make that change before we get too old to make a change. Because in maybe another 10 or 15 years, then we're going to be too old to pursue a new career. We think that we're going to be too old to find a new person to love, or a person to love us for who we are, for the individual, rather than what we give to the family. So time as being constrained, the window of opportunity to make a change as being shorter and shorter, or smaller and smaller in our 40s, and the need for restructuring as being there, yeah, and as wrongfully being labeled as something that is shameful in society. So and so is just going through a midlife crisis. I'm sure he'll regret it all. He or she, rather, will regret it all and be coming right back. Whereas there is a reason for everyone going through a midlife crisis or a restructuring, because it is necessary. If we all didn't go through it, if it was just one person, then you could kind of chalk that up to a midlife crisis. But since the majority of people are doing it, then it is a psychological process that we have to go through in our 40s. We have to reevaluate, and it isn't a bad thing. We can reevaluate in many different ways, and it can lead to many good things. It can lead to radical changes that can hurt some people, but it can also lead to good things. Yeah. And it doesn't have to lead to infidelity or divorce. In some cases it does. In others, as I said, it could be about a lot of different things. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe. Please give us a rating on Spotify. I hope you have a great day and take care of yourself.